I'm sure you noticed some similarities and differences
Yeah,
here.
we were looking at, I said this stove is different, we just had a big coal stove.
What?
We didn't have a pantry or anything like that back there, so. We had the hall across here.
For the school you attended as a student?
Yeah.
What about the school when you taught? How many schools were you in?
Two
different ones. Which ones were those?
No, I was in 3 different ones, really. I was in Vernon, we went to school in Vernon number 5, and then I taught in Fairfield number 2, and then I went back and taught in Vernon number 2. It was 2 miles from our old school.
Okay, so you hopped around a little bit.
Well, 3 years. I was in each school 3 years. So. Then they closed the school, so that was the end of the country schools.
Right.
1953.
Right. 53. Oh wow.
Yep.
You know what I've like learned from our collections is that Northwestern Iowa really held out for a long time before consolidating.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a bit of a sense of your time as a teacher last time. But we didn't talk, time as a student, but we didn't talk about your time as a teacher. So I thought that we could try to relive some of those memories today.
Okay.
So you did 3 different schools, but let's start you as your time as a child. What was your childhood like? You lived on a farm, correct? Did you want to become a teacher, or?
I guess I never thought about it when in country school. No, I mean, we just went to school and went home. And that was it, I guess. So we had, just like all the other neighbor kids, you know.
But when you grew up, was there a sense that you had to become a teacher, or?
No, not really. I just decided when I was junior and senior that I might like to.
Yeah. Did you have any teachers in particular that influenced you to teach, or that you particularly admired as a student?
I don't know. I got along with all of mine. I never had any trouble. I just, some were better than others. I mean, we did other different things and that, but you know, one of our teachers had a nervous breakdown.
Oh.
Never forget that day.
What did from?
Well, there's so many. Well, we had big boys, and they were bigger than she was, and she was a little older, and she just came to school that day, and I don't remember just exactly what happened, but she started crying, and she just went all to pieces, and we had to go with the neighbors and get the neighbor man to come to school. So,
well, teachers, they had a lot of autonomy in a sense, and I guess that was a lot of pressure.
yeah.
Did you feel that as a teacher? A lot to keep
Not
discipline?
so much, no, not so much.
So,
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
She did write some of those things down on that paper.
did you?
I told you your homework.
Yeah, I know. I got them in here. But I just wrote them for me. I didn't write. I did whatever. Because I just.
You can add anything that you want. No boundaries here today. You can speak freely.
But when we were talking about teachers, I do just remember that.
Did you have all female teachers?
Have what?
Did you have all female teachers?
Yes, I did.
And they were single?
Yes. Well, not all of them. Most of them were. Alice Purdue was married, and her husband was in the service of World War II. He was in the service, and but otherwise, the others were all single.
All right, so did you attend second education for teaching? Did you go on to normal training?
No.
No.
I just went, after I graduated, Esterville had a for us to go, and it was out of Cedar Falls, State Iowa Teachers College was what it was. And then we spent the summer in Esterville going to get our certificate.
What was that like? What was that process like?
Well, it was different than high school, but I rode the train from Osgood, or from Graettinger up there, and then stayed all week, and then rode the train back to Graettinger. My aunt and uncle had a cafe in Graettinger, and that was a town post, so we still had the passenger train then. We could, for a dime or a quarter, we could ride to Esterville. So that's what we did. There were 3 of us that went back. And we had a room, rented a room in Esterville and stayed.
Okay. Do you remember what years you received your teaching education?
47, that was the fall of, or the summer of 47 that I went, and the math certificate was good for 3 years. And then I went to, Storm Lake, for the second one.
Oh, okay. And it was a 3-month-long process, or?
Oh, I don't know if it was 3 months, but it was most of the summer. I suppose if we had a week before and a week after, I don't remember for sure.
But you took classes, or you?
Yeah, took classes.
Okay. How were you evaluated? Did you just pass those classes, or did they?
I don't know. They just sent. We just sent. I don't know if I even seen the grading and that. I don't remember until we got the certificate. Maybe it came then. I don't know.
So you literally just walked in and you walked out.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's nice.
As far as I remember, anyway. I mean, we had to take the classes, and then it was just like a school day. We just went to school.
So then you were assigned to schools, correct? After your teaching education, you moved on to teach. How was it? How were your schools assigned to you? Did you just go to the schools, or did the
We had a director for each district had their director, and that's who hired you. You went and talked to them, and that's who hired you. And then he was your boss. And he helped with things at school, and kind of, I don't know, like if something broke or something happened or anything, then that's who you notified was him. And I had all men directors. Some women were directors, but the 2 I had were men.
Oh, okay.
And both of them were very helpful and very.
So you went to Vernon number 5?
Right.
And that was from 47 to?
No, I started in what? I was born in 28, so 5 years from then I would have gone from then until 43, and then 4 years in Emmitsburg High School.
Oh, okay.
I graduated from Emmitsburg.
But the school you first taught in, that was?
Was 1947.
1947.
48 year.
That was Vernon number?
No, that was Fairfield number 2.
Fairfield number 2. And then from 48 to?
No, I taught 3 years there, from 47, 48, 48, 49, 49, and 50 in Fairfield number 2.
In Fairfield number 2. And then you moved to?
Then I went to Vernon number 2.
And that was from?
From then until 53, till they closed the schools.
Okay. Just wanted to get it chronologically. But they closed the school. What was that process like, closing the school?
They just said the schools would be closed, and
just like that?
The kids had to go to, they assigned them to the closest towns, and the buses picked them up, and then that bus routes then. And
you as a teacher?
Some of mine went to Emmitsburg, and some went to Graettinger. So, I mean, the ones, The towns, I don't know who decided that. The towns to go into the town schools, they decided. So each family's just had to go to town school next year.
But you as a teacher, what happened? Did they just show up and say, we're closing your school, or?
Well, I knew at that was my last year, the whole year. They had decided that, I don't know who decided. Because every school had a director. I don't know. Well, one thing, you had to have so many kids, but we had plenty of students, so that wasn't the reason mine closed. But some of them had closed in the district before that.
Then where did you go? Did you continue teaching?
Did I what?
Did you continue teaching?
No, I was married then, and our daughter was born in the fall, and I just stayed home and took care of her.
Okay. Did you have certain room and board arrangements as a teacher?
Well, the first year, when I taught in Fairfield too, I drove. I stayed at home and drove to school.
Okay. So, and then...
That was about 10 miles, but...
10 miles. And then, was that for all 3 schools you were at? 2 schools you were at? Okay. Saved some money, huh?
Yeah. Well, most teachers, if you didn't live close, you stayed at one of the farms, usually. I mean, like, our teachers stayed at different farms, families, gave them room and board. Do you remember any unique experiences of getting to school? Do you remember like snowstorms or severe weather? But you got to school, or? We almost always did get to school.
Okay.
If nothing else, we went with the team sled. I did that too. And I rolled the car going one time. The first year I taught, got real icy, and I came over a hill, and the car started. I let up on the foot brake, which I shouldn't have. I know now, but then the car started sashaying, and of course I was turning the wheel to get it back straight. I thought, well, when I got to the gravel at the bottom of the hill, I had the wheels sharp to turn, so I just rolled it in the ditch, rolled it clear over, broke the windshield out.
Oh.
Snow and mud came in on me because the ditches were full of snow. So I got out and walked about a quarter of a mile to the farmhouse, and the kids were in the window, and they said, Mom, there's a black lady coming up here. Says I was so full of mud, my hair was all full of mud. Well, the lady knew me, and when I knocked on the door, she came to the door and she said, oh, Roberta, don't you want a washcloth? And I said, no, I'm fine. She said, come and look in the mirror. And I was black. And I had a little cut on my forehead, that's all. So I was really lucky.
Yes.
So then they gave me a ride down to the school and went and got the director. And he told me just take the day off and go home and rest. So we didn't have school that day. But he took me home, matter of fact. The car was in the ditch.
Sometimes.
So I remember that one.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have school because of snow or weather, but sometimes the teachers just can't get there.
Yeah. Not very often back then. Someone always was willing to help you get there. But I do remember that one.
Did you have certain duties when you got to school in the morning? Did you have to make sure the school was heated?
Yes, it was up to me to make.
What was your routine like in the morning?
Well, you just went to school an hour earlier than the kids were going to arrive because you wanted it to be warm. And sometimes the water, we had a water thing like that. Sometimes that would be froze, so it was up to you to get it over by the stove to thaw it out. So when the kids came with the water, you could have your fresh water in there. And sometimes when it was real cold, you could bank the stove, and then it would be easy to start. And sometimes it would go out, and then you had a real problem.
So So you had one of those water
Yes,
things.
just like that.
What did your first school you taught at, what did that school look like?
It was just one room too, and it didn't have the hall. You just came into the building and we had places like that to hang clothes, and otherwise just a place in the corner like that with the water and that. It was just very simple.
Mm-hmm.
3 windows on each side like this.
Yeah. 2 doors?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you have chalkboards and desks?
We had chalkboards across the whole front like this, but we didn't have any along there. And then we had a bookcase. In the Fairfield, when the bookcases were built right in the wall, weren't like that. It was just a place with shelves. And then we had a table back there that if people got their lessons finished and so on, they could go back there and sit and read. And it was kind of a little corner on its own.
Mm-hmm. Did you have indoor plumbing?
No.
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 So you had an outhouse?
Mm-hmm. Girls and boys.
Girls and boys. Did you have electricity? Did you?
No.
No.
No
So
electricity.
did you have pictures of like George Washington, the flag?
Yeah. And then we had these roll-up maps like that too.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a belfry on the one in Vernon too, with the bell.
Oh yeah.
And one spring day, we were in a storm and it blew the belfry off the building. So it rolled all the way down the building, and you can imagine how scared everybody was. Well, you had to try to be brave. And a couple of the older boys ran and got the director, and he came, and it didn't tear a roof in a hole in the roof, but it made the roof leak. So,
Oh.
but that iron bell rolling down the
Sounded like thunder or something.
So anyway, so that was one experience too. So you never knew.
Outside, was it like a field to play in, or
We had an acre
An
of
acre.
playground.
Mm-hmm.
And that had in Fairfield, we had no swings or anything. We just played games or kitten ball at recess. In the wintertime, snow games.
So then at Vernon, what did that school look like?
It was one room just like this too, with 3 windows.
Oh, very much the same.
Only that only had the one door coming in to the front.
Huh. So materials and things and books, were those
We had-
provided for you?
We had books. If we wanted to renew storybooks and that, we had to go to the county superintendent, which was in Emmitsburg, and then we could check out books for 2 weeks, and then we had to take them back, check again, like storybooks and things. But as far as their books, their own personal books, they had to buy them. You had to buy your own books, right? I mean, like arithmetic and geography and history, all of them, you had to buy them.
Are those the subjects you taught?
Reading, writing, arithmetic, geography, and history. And then in 7th and 8th grade, it was civics,
Civics.
study of Iowa.
So, your interactions with students then when you taught those things, they came up, they recited.
At a recitation, and then they, of course, they did their studying in their own desk back there, you know. And in the morning, we always said the pledge to the flag, both schools. And then a lot of times when we came in from noon, we would have a storybook and I would read for 15 minutes after the noon hour. I mean, we did that when I was in grade school, when I was a student, our teachers did that too. It was just something that they all did. But
So-
one interaction with the family,
Yeah.
the boys called me dirty names.
Oh.
He was an 8th grade boy. So I sent him home. So he could just go home for the day. And when my director found out I did that, he said, "Oh, you should have never done that." His dad is a real strict father, and he will he will be very upset with you. So that was on Friday, so I worried all weekend what was gonna happen when the father came. When he came, he got me a laugh about so long, and he said if he ever does that again, use it on him. So he surprised me and all the people. But that boy was a different boy from that day on, so his parents were for me. So.
Do you have many interactions
No,
like that?
nothing like that.
With his parents, no? But,
And I had never met the father. I mean, I had never, until that morning.
right.
But it's just one.
I'm sure you had certain discipline techniques, right? Like certain expectations.
Oh yeah, we had discipline. I mean, no pushing and shoving and slapping and, I mean, just.
What were your expectations? Like, did they have to raise their hand?
Yeah. If they wanted help. If they wanted the bathroom.
Right. Well, did they get along in their independent study? Like, did students were they well behaved?
Yes, I didn't have only that one time. That's the only incident I ever had in both schools.
Pretty good.
Yeah. And they got along on the playground and that. I never had any problems like that. That they fight and so on. Sure, sometimes they say something, argue a little bit, but I mean, as far as anything serious,
Did you have any older, taller farm boys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did they come in? Did they leave for a few months for the farm season?
No, I didn't have any of that. Sometimes in other schools they did, but I didn't. They never went home to help pick corn or anything. They were in school all the time.
So, as a teacher, what was your attire? What did a typical teacher wear?
We had to wear dresses or skirts and blouses or sweaters. No slacks, no jeans, no. If you wore slacks or jeans, like when it was really, really cold, then you took them off when you got to school, and from on we went to go home again. But even that was like that in high school for me too. There was no jeans or anything in high school. We had a teacher that was girls' supervisor, and she was very strict. And if some of the town kids would come with their slacks on, she sent them home.
Oh.
Change clothes, so.
You didn't have to do that,
No,
did you?
no.
That's good.
I would have had 8 miles to walk. But we knew we weren't supposed to do it. They just did it to see if they could get by with it, But anyway, we knew we weren't supposed to.
Did you have anything that you personally had to provide for the school? Like pencils or?
No.
No, that was all provided for you? Let's see here.
If we were going to do extra art things or something and I wanted to do something different, then I would just get it, but otherwise. And most everything was always there.
Let's see here. Do you remember like your earliest memory of teaching? Like anything in particular when you first started?
I was scared to death the first day.
Yeah.
I knew a couple of the students, otherwise they were all complete strangers because I didn't know people in that part of the township. It was scary and nervous, and I think the first couple of weeks were because just trying to get all the assignments done, and that had to be sent into the county superintendent. You had to have your schedule for how you were going to, for each week. We only had to do it once because you did the same thing. I mean, you had the same classes Monday through Friday, but that had to be filled out and sent in to the county superintendent.
Did you see your superintendent very often?
They came maybe once a year, but we saw them often because we had county meetings once a month, and then if we wanted like books or anything like that, or more chalk or things like that, then that's where we got it, so I saw them at least once probably twice a month, maybe only once sometimes, but.
What did they do? Did they just observe, or did
Well,
they...
the one we had, when we were going to country school, she used to come and look in the window. We didn't have curtains, and the first oh, Miss Oliver's here, she's looking in the window. No, then she'd just come in and walk around and talk to the teacher, probably during recess and that, leave. Don't you remember her just doing that, Dolores? Yeah.
Thanks, Larry.
So, but otherwise, but she was nice. That's just what they did.
But it was a female, huh? Female?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Were there many female superintendents at the time, or?
I don't know. I don't know because we just had the one. I mean, for the whole county. She was there forever.
All right. So let's talk about your midday a little bit. So it's lunchtime. What did students typically eat? What did you typically eat?
Everyone brought their own dinner in their lunch pail, and of course everybody had to go wash their hands and so on. 10 minutes to 12, and then I made mine sit 12 minutes or 15 minutes to eat because otherwise they didn't eat. They wanted to get out and in the playground, get out and play. So and then we had 45 minutes in the playground because we had hour noons. We went from 9 to 12 and 1 to 4.
And you went out and you supervised, or?
Oh yes, you had to be out there. And in the summertime and then in fall, in the nice weather, we had a big cottonwood tree and we went outside and ate lunch. It was nice out. So otherwise, we just ate at our desks.
Do you remember what games they played? Did they play like Annie Over or?
Oh yeah, Annie Over, Johnny May Across the River, Fox and the Goose in the wintertime, and I don't know, what else did we play? Kitten ball most of the time.
Kitten ball?
Yeah, kitten ball most of the time. But we never ate.
On Friday.
Pardon?
We go from one school to another.
And on Friday afternoons, yeah. And we walked. We walked from one school to the other. Everybody walked, yeah.
Was that quite a walk, or?
It's 2 miles.
2 miles?
But we went right after we ate lunch, and then of course we had to be back by 4. But it only took like 20 minutes or so to walk. Everybody's young and everybody walked, But we didn't play softball like they do, or kitten ball like they do now. We didn't have enough to have every base a person on one, we just would have enough for fielders and that. But so we played what they called cross out, and you just threw the ball in front of them, like if they were running from first base to second, you threw the ball between them and second base, and they were out.
Oh.
That's how we got them out. That's how. And we played work up too with the ball. Yeah. Hit the ball, and if you caught the fly, it was 100 points. You had to get 500 to get up to bat. And if you caught a fly, it was 100 points. And if you got the one on the first bounce, it was 75, and one on the second bounce was 50. And if you got the roller, it was 25. So it also taught you your arithmetic, your facts, because you had to keep track of your own if you wanted to get up to bat. So.
All right. Class on the field.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Milkweeds.
Oh, yeah.
Milkweeds and walk on Friday afternoon. Pick milkweeds, walk along the ditches. It was for
World War II, and they use them in the parachutes. They use that fuzz, if you know what a milkweed, it's got silky stuff in the flower. We turned that into the county superintendent, and then it was.
Really?
Yeah.
So wartime really impacted your middle school experience.
Yes, one very sad thing was one of our families had 3 boys in our country school, and their brother was killed overseas, and they came to school. One of the neighbors came to school to get the boys to tell them, and that was a sad, sad day. Their older brother was...
Such a tight community back then, too.
We were, yeah, all the neighbors worked together, yeah.
Did you have to do anything else for the war effort? Rationing?
Well, we saved to go.
Sears catalog?
We took quarters to school, bought stamps for $25. You know, if you got this book full and you had $25 bond, war bond, and we did that. I can't remember. Well, we had rationing, of course, you know, butter or sugar and flour and all. Gas, all that was rationed at that time, all the farmers had. But my folks had a big garden, so Mom needed the sugar and flour and that stuff, but as far as our own vegetables and fruit, we had a big orchard on our farm, so we had, Mom canned, I mean, we all, you know, so.
I think it was like Victory Gardens, right?
Yes.
Victory Gardens. But did you sense a height of patriotism in school?
Oh yes, and we were taught how to take care of the flag. That was, you didn't let it touch the ground, and if it started raining, you went out and got the flag down and from the school. That was one pupil had a week would take turns putting the flag up and taking it down. So then we were, if it was our turn, we were responsible to do that.
Was that a lot of pressure, or?
Well, I don't. At the time, I didn't think it was, because we just did it. You know, I mean, it was just something part of your duty at school.
Were there any other worldwide events during your time that you remember, or was it just primarily the war?
Yeah, just primarily, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your teaching style. What was lesson planning like? Did you have favorite lessons, least favorite lessons in particular?
Well, I always liked geography myself, because that was really my favorite one to teach. But then spelling, you got to, we had spelling 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and if you got 100 on all your words on Wednesday, then you didn't have to take your test on Friday. So that was always something for them to work for too then. But otherwise, we just made the assignments and had class recitations, and then if the older ones, like the 7th and 8th graders, if they had their work finished, and the kindergarten and first were learning to read, they would take them back to that table in the corner and have them read to them. And they liked to do that. That was really a help. That the boys didn't so much, but the girls always would take. And one-on-one though was always, because otherwise it was too much fooling around, too much noise.
So did you have each, starting with grade 1 come up, grade 2 come up, grade 3? And that worked well?
And in here it asks how many people I had in my grade when I was a student. I had one in my grade for about a half a year. Otherwise, I was the only one in my class the whole time.
Oh, really?
So there wasn't any competition. Which really there should have been.
Let's see here. What was your grading process like? How did you evaluate students?
We went by the ABC.
ABC?
Then, at that time.
Did you enjoy writing lessons at all? Did you enjoy that process, or?
Well, sometimes it got tiresome, but you knew you had to do it, so it had to be done, and it had to be ready for them when they got to class. So you just had to do it. I don't know if you enjoy it, but you had to do it.
Did you assign homework ever?
No.
No homework?
Sometimes they would take their books if we were gonna have a test the next day. Sometimes they would take their books. And for those 8th grade examinations that the 8th graders had to take, we did have review books for them to work, and we did work with them to help them get, you know, so. But we got from the county superintendent, we got review books from, and the kids were given those, and they could study at their own pace if they, and some really studied, and some, you know,
Yeah.
kids are kids.
What were some of the things that they had to study? Like what was on a typical 8th grade exam?
Mostly history and English and spelling. We had spelling and that too. And we had arithmetic. It was all the subjects were on it. Yeah.
Penmanship. Where you had to do that, right, or else.
Yeah, that when we were in grade school, we had a couple teachers that were very strict with our penmanship. Feet flat on the floor, straight in your desk, and use your whole wrist. And then we'd have to go.
You had to learn with your right hand, right?
I stay left-handed.
You still say
I'm
left-handed?
left-handed to this day.
Good for you.
I think that's the most I had seen Dad upset when we were kids, was over that. He was really upset. He went to school, and boy, she went home with him, and that was her, cleaned out her desk, and that was it.
I hated school exams.
Well, that actually happened to a lot of students back then. I mean, it was a right hand or...
And I don't know why. Our mother was right-handed. I had two sisters and a brother that are right-handed. They get along in life the same as anybody else. I never understood why they
It's
did
a
that.
religious thing. They say that if you're left-handed, it's the devil's work or something to that effect.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
My aunt's left-handed too, so it's fine.
Did you sense, like, was there any religious influence in school? Like, did you have religious symbols up or? No.
And in our country school, there were different religions. I mean, some were Lutheran, some were Methodist, some were Catholic,
You could have just been a teacher.
and we just, you know, we just knew it and that was it. But no, we had no religion taught at all.
All right. How many students were in a grade? Like, how many students did you have your first year teaching?
At 18.
18.
And there were four of them were 8th graders, and then I didn't have all the classes though. I can't remember now, but I know there were 4 8th graders that they were the big boys. But at 18, and then of course then the next year there weren't as many because those 8 went out. But then we had kindergarten coming in, so I had 15 to 18 all the time at Fairfield.
Oh, wow.
And then when I went to Vernon, I only had 12.
Still, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Up until they closed the school, there were 12?
Well, I can't remember if it were the last year because some of them had graduated, but then there were little ones that came. I can't say for sure, but when I went there, it was 12 because it was less than I had when I was in Fairfield.
Let's see here. Okay. All right. Let's ask this question. Do you remember a particular best day or worst day of your teaching experience?
Well, one of the worst days was we were out for recess, and one of the little boys in 2nd grade had a stick in his mouth. Who knows why? And they were running and playing, him and the other little boy was in 2nd grade too, and he fell and cut that thing under his tongue. The stick cut it. So of course, you know how head bleeds, you know, head wound bleeds. So one of the little girls saw it and she come running. I was outside too, but we were on the other side of the building, and I went over there, and there was the one with bleeding. His mouth was full of blood, and the other one had passed out because of seeing the blood. He fainted. So you didn't know who to help first, so one of the older girls got the one that fainted and picked him up and got him out of the way, and then the older boys ran to the home of the boy that got cut, and his older brother came and got him then.
What did you do as a teacher? Like,
Well,
it's just you,
yeah.
so.
Well, I didn't know whether to pick him up. I didn't know what to do for sure. But then of course, he was crying, with blood. And so then we got him to sit up. And then when his older brother comes and said, Arnold, just snap out of it. You're okay. So he took him home. So. But that was a scary day. But it healed up. He didn't have any problems. I mean, it wasn't as bad as it seemed at first because it bled so, it was more blood than cut really, but.
Do you remember a day that was rewarding, the best day that you remember teaching?
Oh, when the 8th graders come back and they'd all pass their test was a happy day.
Yeah.
Of course, you thought they were anyway, but it still was a good feeling. Otherwise, I don't know. We didn't have too many bad days.
Did you have any particularly tough students? Like students with behavioral challenges or anything? Or?
No.
No. Well, we heard your interaction with the parents there. Whew. But you didn't have any like parent-teacher meetings, did you?
No. We just had the county meetings. All the teachers got together with the county superintendent. We had those once a month on a Saturday morning.
All right. Were there any specific duties that you had at the end of the day? What was the end of the day like? At 4 o'clock?
Everyone had, not everyone, but most everyone had a duty. I mean, like some of them erased the boards and get the flag down, get the coal or cobs in the winter. And we called them duties, and you made a schedule and put their names on, and they did their duties. And sweep the floor, but I always swept the floor after they left. I never had them sweep the floor. But they washed the blackboards and cleaned up where the water was, emptied up the water.
So Monday through Friday was school. What did you do on the weekends typically? Or as a teacher, you
just went home and did things at home. Yeah, I never. Well, of course, we had meetings and Saturdays we had to attend. But otherwise, and sometimes you worked on getting things ready for the next week, getting your assignments all done. So I did that. Sometimes correct papers, tests. I usually did that every night after school, but sometimes when you had tests and that, you had more to do.
What about holidays? Did you have school plays, like a holiday program?
Christmas programs. We all had Christmas programs. The kids learned poems, and they also did little skits. Plays, we called them. We had sheets we had to put across wire and put up sheets for the curtains and so on. And they sang songs. Yeah. We just didn't have a piano or anything. We had a record player, a hand-wind record player with records. That was our music. And I wasn't a music teacher, so I'm not a singer. So anyway, but we always did that. Twice a week we did that twice. In the mornings we'd have 15 minutes of music. Like Tuesdays and Thursdays I usually did. But, and then everyone.
Was it like the Fulton music at all, or?
We just had records.
Just records.
Just records and played the records.
Let's see here. Well, we did talk a little bit about consolidation and what you did afterwards. Let's see here. So I guess, let's wrap things up here a little bit. Like, what did you like most about teaching? What did you find
Interaction
most
with the kids.
enjoyable? Interactions?
And see how happy they would be if they figured out something that, and the lesson that they didn't understand at first, and then you talk to them about it and so on. Their eyes would light up. Oh boy, I don't know. The answer is or something.
Let's see here. What did you dislike about teaching? Did you find anything very frustrating or?
Getting the fire going. You'd get to school and the schoolhouse would be just ice cold, and, but that was just something you had to do. And sometimes the driving, when the roads were bad and that, I guess it was a struggle to get there sometimes.
Did you have any particular, like the hardest situations you faced as a teacher? Like, what were some of the hardest parts about being a teacher?
Oh, I think keeping the room clean and so on. And the transportation was, because back then we didn't have snowplows and snowblowers and things like they have now,
So it wasn't actually the job itself, it was just the keeping the physical space clean and the logistics of getting here. Because that was all on you.
Yeah, that was up to me,
Did you ever consider a career other than teaching?
No.
No? Do you remember any of your former students?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I still see them every once in a while.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Because I still live in only 8 miles from where I went to school, and most of my classmates are gone, but I have, when I go to Imsburg, a lot of times I meet some of my former students, and they're always hi, and they're still friendly.
That must be really nice.
It is. Yeah.
How do you think your students would remember you today?
I don't know. One of my students is a history buff, and he, when we had our centennial of our county, he made county maps and put way back when the Indians were here, where the Indians went through and he brought me one of those, and then different people that came and saw it wanted this, so then I would call him and he'd make he made a whole bunch of them. I don't know why he did it, but I have mine framed and hanging in my hallway.
Oh, really?
He has the schools marked, like, it was Fairfield Township was where he was from, and he has them all marked. And I see him once in a while, yeah. He's a farmer, lives on a farm.
Do you have a lot of things made by students for you that you kept?
Yeah, some I still have.
Little keepsakes. Are you comfortable talking about your salary as a teacher?
$75 a month the first 3 years, and then when I went to Vernon, I got $125.
Oh, my.
So that was a $50 raise. That was a good deal.
Yeah. How did you feel about your salary? Did you feel that it was low or too high, or?
Well, that's what everyone got. I mean, and it was just the going salary at the country schools. You just took what you got, I guess,
Some people have feelings about that, so we always ask teachers about how they felt if they were.
And then at Christmas time, we always drew names. The kids drew names, and they exchanged the gifts at our Christmas program and at the Christmas tree. And I always bought all of them a little gift too, just something for school or something,
What did students usually give each other? Like just small things, or?
Yeah, it wasn't expensive. It was just the idea of a gift to each other. I got a lot of ladies' handkerchiefs, pretty handkerchiefs,
Ooh.
and perfume and fingernail polish and things like that. You know, I mean, it was just,
Yeah.
I have a whole drawer full of pretty ladies' handkerchiefs, beautiful handkerchiefs. You know, the little cotton, and they're all trimmed, and some had crocheting around them, the grandmas had crocheted. My mother tatted, I have some that she tacked around. I still have a whole drawer full of those. So.
Those are keepsakes.
Yeah.
So how do you think rural school education has impacted education today? Do you think?
I think it was fine.
Yeah.
I think it was fine. I mean, anyway, like students went to be nurses and doctors, and I mean, they had to go to high school first, but I mean, I feel that the country schools prepared them for their high school and so on.
Do you think consolidation was a good thing?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I suppose it could brought them all together. I don't know though. Because we had our high schools anyway, and you know, we weren't ever consolidated in Emmitsburg. We all were our own county, all the towns had their own schools and so on. Not anymore, but they did.
How do you think education has changed through the years? What are the biggest differences?
With all the electronics and things, it's entirely different. They have no textbooks anymore. They do all their lessons on the computers, and it's just different. I couldn't be there now because I don't know anything about computers. But it is different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Some of it's probably good, and some of it probably isn't. I feel bad for the families that don't have computers in their homes, and there are some that can't afford them. You know, and today, and I feel bad for those kids. Then, but the schools do furnish them in our part of the state anyway. The schools furnish each one with a laptop.
The discipline has changed significantly.
Yes, and it's not good because there is no discipline in school. You can't even take a hold of their arm and talk to them unless you're wrong.
Right.
And I don't think that's right. I think I don't believe in teachers being mean to them and that, but I do think that they need discipline.
Another big difference is you were by yourself as a teacher, but now there's all this oversight.
Yeah, you got the principals and every school has a principal or two or three.
Different requirements as well.
Yeah.
I mean, what were the state requirements for you, or the county super requirements for you as a teacher? Did you have to teach in a certain way, or teach specific things?
No, you just did your own way. But, and like, if you had problems, you could go to the county superintendent and she would try to help you. And so on.
But that's very different from today, because
Yeah.
there's so many requirements.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see here. What do you think are the biggest challenges faced by students today compared to students that you taught?
I don't know.
Well, there are no 8th grade exams anymore.
No. Well, I don't know if 8th grade in town have to take them. I don't think so, but of course there are no country schools, so, you know.
Yeah, that's very true. What lessons did you learn from this time in your life as a teacher?
How to be patient. And yet have discipline, but yet be patient. I don't know. Just kind of grew up with the kids. As I was 18 when I started, and some of the kids were 14, you know, older, 8th graders, so.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything in your notes you want to add?
I don't think so. I think I don't know how many years I attended country school. 9, because kindergarten started the year that I started to school, so so I went 9 years instead of 8. My brother was a year older and he only had to go 8. And other than that, and I do have my, I told you maybe I had my certificates,
Oh, yeah.
and I did find that. And there's Miss Oliver's side up. And Jesse Parker was that's the one from
Jesse? Do you mind if I take a picture of these?
no, I don't,
Super.
because they were, that's the first one, right? And that was for 3 years, and this was for 3 years. And then this one is substitute teacher certificate I had.
Substitute. Oh, you needed a separate certificate?
Yeah. That was, well, I had, this one ran out, and then that's when I closed the schools, and then I thought, well, I did substitute in Graettinger a few times, some, but not too much.
And this was in town school?
Yeah,
How was that different?
yes, entirely different.
Entirely, like good different, bad different?
Oh, it was okay, but it was
Yeah.
different because you only had one grade,
What was that transition like?
Well,
The differences?
it was different. I mean, everybody was the same age instead of having all ages.
Did the lessons change at all, or?
No, it was about the same subjects. And the teacher ahead would always have the day's work, her schedule of what you were supposed to do. Her
Oh.
lesson plans were already all made.
So you literally just showed up?
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite different. Wow. And you substitute taught for how many years?
I only did for 2 years.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
Huh.
But I didn't every day. I mean, it was just when someone.
Did you like substitute teaching, or did you miss?
None especially, no.
No.
Because it was all different. I don't know, it was just different.
But you two went to the same school, correct? The same country school together? And that was, it escapes me,
Vernon number
Vernon number
5. 5.
What was that like? What was that like being in the same room together? What was that like being in the same school together?
And we were together all the time at home, and we just went, and all the neighbor kids, and
I had three in my class, Roseanne and Elaine,
yeah.
or not Roseanne. What was her name?
Ness girl, yeah.
Anyway, we got, that's kind of fun for me. Oh, we giggle and we get, But one teacher come and she would wear a dress, but she'd have her slit this much longer than her dress, and we giggle. We did. We were not.
Did you sit in separate rows?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you wave to each other over there?
No.
Would you pass notes?
Pardon?
Would you pass notes in class?
No,
No.
I don't remember writing notes.
No.
Our seats were just like this, about this far apart. We had little ones though, real little ones for the
Yeah,
little
for the
kids.
little
We had a real tiny row of seats for the little kids, and then the middle size and then the bigger size. We had 3 different size seats, but they were on a board like that and everything.
Yeah. How many, was it 1 year you were in school together or 2 or?
Oh no,
4
Four
years?
because she's,
I'm 5 years older than her, so, and then, yeah, I'd have been in 4th or 5th grade when she started, you know.
Did you have the same teacher all 4 years?
No,
no.
we had one 3 years. Alice Purdue was 3 years, but otherwise, well, Gail was 2 years,
And then Conway.
and Miss Conway was only 1 year. And then when our teacher had her nervous breakdown, then they brought in another teacher from Emmett County. Talk about strict. Everybody toed the mark because she knew that when she came that she had those ornery boys, you know, and the first day she let them know who was boss.
Oh.
And that was good because everybody settled down, because it was really tragic to lose Miss Lamb.
Yeah. She your favorite or?
I don't know, she just was
She was,
just a nice person, and we knew her all our life. So she was a neighbor, farm neighbor.
So how did you two get to school then?
We walked
You walked 2 miles?
1.
1 mile.
you're
That's
about a
good.
mile, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it was because we lived down from the corner a little bit, and then our school was up from the corner. Most schools were right on the corner, but we had a great big slough that was always full of water. So they built the school up in another farm yard. I mean, it was just like there's only the driveway between the farm and the school yard.
Yeah. And you said there was a hallway, correct? At your school?
The front of the school, yeah.
For the school? Did it have 3 windows?
Yeah,
2 doors, 1 door?
1 door.
1 door?
And the flagpole was right there. You just stepped out the door and the flagpole was there, and that's where you put the flag up.
Did it have electricity or indoor plumbing or? Nope. 2 outhouses?
Yeah.
Was your school white?
Yes.
Yeah.
A little shed where they had
The coal shed, cobs and coal.
But do you remember how many people were in your school?
It was different numbers, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's the Fairfield number 2 class, kids, 1 year.
Is this you?
Yeah,
Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, I love their sweaters.
they were twins.
Oh, that's
There was,
adorable.
and then the two big boys aren't on there. The oldest boys in that family were twins,
Uh-huh.
but they'd already graduated. And then these 2 were twins, and this one, the 2 girls were twins too. Had 3 sets of twins. Leanne and Roseanne, yeah.
Good. Wow, a lot of twins back then.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna take a picture of this for you.
And then this is the Fairfield. This is what was in school when school closed.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
That's 3 different families.
That's still not too bad. Nice.
And this is the county teachers
The county teacher.
at a meeting.
See,
And I don't remember who all of them are.
One
Too many.
man.
I probably didn't know some of them at the time even, because it was the whole county,
Uh-huh.
not just our township.
1 man, huh?
Yep.
Still pretty good. You didn't interact with the other teachers very much?
Just at the meetings
Just
and
the
that.
meetings?
Or sometimes, like when we'd go back and forth to play ball, our next door neighbor teachers, we all knew each other and went back and, we're back and forth.
You got along. I'm sure you shared your experiences with each
Well,
other.
we did, yeah.
Yeah.
Discuss things, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I don't know where on there somewhere, I don't remember. Right there.
Oh, there you are. Glasses, yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, I've worn glasses all my life. I know who some of these are. This was the county superintendent right there at that time. Miss Young. She was Miss Young, but that was the county superintendent.
Now, you were allowed to substitute teach after you were married, correct? But that was in town school, so that was allowed.
Yeah. Well, we had married teachers. Mrs. Purdue was married. We had married teachers in our grade school too, so it was allowed then. But weren't too many, but we did have, you know. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring these and show you.
That was very nice. But I'm sure you remember a lot from your middle school days, huh? Do you have any particular memories?
Yeah, we got a lot of fun memories. Friends, big friends.
Did you like country school?
Yeah, I did.
And this is my 8th grade diploma saying that I passed 8th grade.
Oh, the diploma.
Well, whatever, you know, I mean, I don't know if they called them diplomas, but anyway, that was it.
But this is what you got when you passed.
8th grade, so I could go into high school.
Wow. And then you just go on your way, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. It's so neat that you've kept these things through the years.
Did you find out what your tuition was?
What?
How much your tuition was when you went to Storm Lake?
$150.
That's not even a class, is it?
I don't even think I can live on just like
And-
50s.
And I can't remember, I don't,
Because I was more expensive than that. Well,
I can't remember what it was.
I had to find an
for
online
some
book for an
reason, like
online
this.
book that was like 200.
Yeah.
And then it was the wrong one, so I had to send it back anyway.
What I
As far as
really
remember, you said-
regret that I didn't keep is my first contract. Because we had things we couldn't do. We weren't supposed to be in our, we weren't, and we weren't supposed to be married, and so on, and it was all on that.
No
Huh?
smoke.
No smoking.
No smoking, no liquor, yeah.
You
But
couldn't
it-
go to the bar?
But I don't know. But then women didn't go, women didn't go to the bar then like they do now though. I mean, my mother never, ever went to a bar. I mean, it just wasn't, it was for the men, I guess, you know.
Dad did play cards, but he never drank.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, play
Yeah.
cards.
But I mean, you you didn't go in a bar and see only anything was men. You just, well, we didn't even think about going in. Wasn't what women and girls did back then.
Do you remember any other restrictions per se, or
Well, and like no slacks.
no slacks?
I don't know, there was different things I don't know right now, but I remember.
So what do you do for fun if you're gonna go to like bars and stuff?
We could go to bowling alley. We had bowling alleys back then. Skating, roller skating was a big thing back then. And then we had theaters, you know.
Every night.
Yeah,
Cowboys got smoked.
Roy Rogers and Gene Autry. But, yeah,
How long did you live on your family farm?
I was born on the farm and I lived there till I was married.
Do you remember? You as well?
Yeah. Our folks lived on that farm 50 years.
Oh, wow.
They didn't own it, but they farmed it.
Uh-huh.
A half section of ground.
Is it still there?
No,
No.
no, it's 80 right off by there anymore. All the farm homes are gone out, kids who went to school with.
I mean, it's still being farmed, but there's no homes. Out of our country school, we had 8 or 9 family farms, one is left.
Really?
One of those farms has a family and lives there, Jansen's. That's the only farm that's left. All the buildings and everything are torn down. And I mean, they were nice farms. Some of them had really nice homes and
But our house was
big,
old and
big, yeah, big barns. And of course, everybody had their cattle and hogs and horses, you know, and chickens, yeah. It's sad to drive out there.
Yeah, I'm sure. Probably unrecognizable.
Well, it would be, except they've got a corn bin right in the middle of the front yard, what used to be our front yard. There's a big steel bin. Otherwise, that's it. If they move it, we'll have to count the miles to know where we live.
Are any of the rural schools still standing out there at all? Abandoned or anything?
No.
Okay.
Some of them were bought, well, they sold them all at that year that they closed in '53. They sold the school buildings. And some bought them and made homes out of them, and some made garages. But they all were moved off the property. And that property went back to the farm.
Uh-huh.
Like, you know, whose farm it was on. It was in the corner of the farm. And then that person could farm that acre again. So it just went back to the farmers.
But they didn't tear them down, which is really
No,
cool.
they didn't tear them.
That's really
They did move them. They sold them and moved them. And like there was no basement under ours, so there wasn't even any, all they had to do was get rid of the foundation and they, you know, I mean, and we had a big tree, they'd had to cut that tree.
It's amazing where these schools have ended up. There's a couple, an Iowan couple that has traveled around the state to try to find these schools, and they've taken pictures, and I think they have a website up, but I mean, some people have bought them and converted them into studios or into recreation places. I mean, it's very neat that people just haven't gotten rid of them.
But you know, it's nicer to see that they were sold and gone than it is to go a few miles west of us in what was called the Clay Central, no, not Clay Central, Lake Center School. It's still all standing there. The windows are all broken. It's a brick building. The windows are all broken and the plants or trees are all.
Fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's more sad to me than them selling the building and someone getting some good out of it.
Yeah.
And the Ayrshire, their school, it's all grew up to weeds and the windows are all broken. It was a high school and grade school both. It was their whole school for the town. They closed them and they go to Emmitsburg now. Some go to Pocahontas according to how far from each way you were from school, you know. That's sad when you drive by there and they're all gone to rack and ruin.
Well, we can only hope that someday they'll do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this school is actually from Pocahontas County.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
That's a county just south of us.
Yeah, and it was opened in 1893 and it closed in 1944. And we actually moved it to this spot in 1987. And then the school was officially part of the campus museum in 2007. And they've done a lot of really great work on it.
That country school that you came to in Emmitsburg, that was out of Independence Township. That was right next to where Fairfield and Independence are right there. But that was moved in there. And as far as I know, that's the only one that's preserved in anything. The one out west, those people bought it and moved it on their farm. And she was going to have meetings and things in it, but I don't know if they do or not.
Have you been to the one at Living History Farms?
No, I haven't.
They teach classes in there. And I took Brendan, our brother, when they were pretty young, because I lived there then. And my brother didn't think anything about it. And it had his cap on, you know, he's like 8, maybe. And they had a teacher, and she was dressed in the late 1800s. She was held a class while we were there, and she scolded him because he didn't take his cap off. And he really didn't even know what, you know, to get his cap on. It's like, no.
Well, the boys were taught that back then, though, in our country schools. They all took their caps off when they went in.
Because they're really a different generation from me, so, you know, age-wise, but.
Do you have an interest in rural school history, or you seem like
A friend of mine grew up in a country school. They had converted it to a house.
oh
Now, it was little at the time, but I guess we didn't think anything about it.
Well, our cousin, Bud and Bonnie, bought that schoolhouse that I taught in Vernon, and they moved it over half a mile on a farm, and they lived in it, raised their family in it.
Yeah.
I currently teach in a youth shelter, and I can have grades K through 12 in my classroom all day, so we kind of come full circle. So I'm back to teaching similarly. I mean, technology and everything, no, but the concept of everyone in the same room in different ages, I have every day. So,
do you guys talk about it a lot?
I do. Not a lot, but most of mine are behavior issues, so that's different than what Mom dealt with, but.
Yeah, I was lucky. I didn't have only that one issue. It was really an issue.
Some
I don't know
people-
but then there was discipline in the homes then too. I mean, you know what I mean. It was, they had things to do and chores to do and things, and they knew it had to be done.
It helped that that home life kind of spilled into school life as well, too.
It's all about when Jerry and Daryl, that's another time the Grant got upset. When they were trying to decide who was gonna, what school districts were gonna go to what school. Because they were kind of between Graettinger and Emmonsburg.
We were the same distance from our
And their
corner.
little brothers started in country schools, and then when they closed them,
They made him go to Graettinger because Graettinger won the argument, and at the end of the first semester, Emmonsburg won the argument, so they took the boys out of Emmonsburg school and Eileen out of Graettinger school and made him go to Emmonsburg. That's when Eileen quit. She went to
so that
Emmonsburg
was
2
kind of
years.
hard then.
And that
Because
was-
the schools were fighting over the farm kids,
Right.
where they were gonna go to school.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the first semester, they moved him. Oh, our dad was so mad that if the kids hadn't had to go to school, I think they wouldn't have been in school. Because he didn't believe in change. He didn't like changes, I guess, but.
Yeah.
Well, it was disruptive to the
But-
kids
but
though,
it
too,
was-
because you
yeah.
have your friends and then.
So then they both graduated from Emmonsburg. Yep.
That was your period. A lot of change in your
Yeah,
period with the
yeah.
rural school system. I mean, yeah. But you went up all the way to 8th grade, and then you went to town school.
I don't know, maybe a half way. I thought I was smarter than the teacher.
Did you not like it, or?
I didn't like school.
No.
I just didn't like school. After,
But
you know, going so I don't know, I probably
But-
went about a half a year and out I went and,
But she was lucky. She had the bus to ride.
yeah.
I didn't. I had to ride with neighbor kids.
Yeah.
And sometimes the one family was late, and every day I was late for school to my sophomore year. And it got so I didn't even have to go to the superintendent and get an excuse. They just said, go to class. They were late every day. They went to the Catholic school, and I went to the public school. And then when I was a senior, we got the school bus, and that was wonderful. Even if it was riding the school bus, that was wonderful. You got to school on time, and when the school was out, you went home. You didn't have to wait all around on somebody else to, you know. But I wanted to go to school, so. First of all, my brother quit school, older brother. He went to, what, a year and a half. He wanted to play football, and Dad wouldn't let him play football, and he went first year, and the next year he didn't go. So then Dad decided, well, if you're going to go and quit, you're not going. So I had to argue to get to go to school, high school. And I was going to prove to him I was going to do it. I was going to be as stubborn as him. And I did. I graduated.
So you have it's you two and your brother? Are there any more siblings that you have?
Yeah, we had 9.
9. Oh my goodness.
3 sisters and 4 brothers.
Did they all go to the same school as you?
And the youngest, 2 youngest ones went until they closed the school in the country, and then they had to move down. But yeah, we all. Yep.
I found a Henry Sloniker.
Harry,
Harry? Yeah.
that's her dad, their dad.
Yes,
Harry.
I found him as I was going through
Yeah.
all of the memos and like school board minutes and teacher certificates. We had it on microfilm over at the museum, and I found a Harry. I was like,
Yeah, that's
could it be?
our dad, yeah. Yeah.
He was present for some important meeting. I think it had to do with like consolidation or something.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. What did he do?
He's a farmer.
Farm? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. The library's going to open very soon here. I wanted to show you on our microfilm little things that I found and see if you wanted to, make copies and take things home with you. So I can set you up in our research room and just find those things for you if you're interested.
Yeah,
I would be.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for interviewing with